Hello Space Pirates! Today I will talk you through my latest game of an Armoury. We're playing Combined Army versus my Corregidor, and I'm playing against Cthulhu, who is leading player in the ITS. He's 7th place, so I'm feeling like the underdog in this game and was having a lot of fear in the beginning. But let's have a look how this really turned out during this game. For Armoury, it's pretty good to have second turn because scoring the room is done at the end of round, and looting the panoplies is done at the end of the game, so having second turn is a good advantage. In this match, my opponent did win the initiative and decided to pick deployment on the red side, and since I'm doing null deployment anyways and can't really react to his deployment, and second turn is so strong and my list only is properly able to clear the room but not hold the room that well, I decided to go straight to turn 2. Therefore, my opponent has the advantage to react to my deployment and has the first turn. But I see this as my only chance of succeeding. So let's have a look at my deployment. I did hold back my Raven Eye, as I usually do, for stopping any deployment in the of the opponent. We did deploy the turret. I deployed him over here to have very short fire lanes, but also looking into the room to cause some trouble if possible. My opponent placed his turret over there, looking into the room as well on this flank, which is a nice place, and also protecting his deployment zone on this area within short ranges. I also placed my Vostok around here to have line of sight into the room as well and look at the panoply. He has or she has mimetism -6, so she's pretty durable. Only short lanes does she have here, so I'm feeling very comfortable with her placing it in an arrow position like this. She's in an Harris with a Diablo and the Jaguar, who are made to clear the room in the first wave. I have my intruder over here, having a small line of sight into the room as well, as soon as somebody walks into the room, and protecting this open field over here. Generally, this area is more open than this one, so he can probably leverage his HMG a lot better on this flank than on the other, so it's both over there. I have a Moran in the train, providing some hacking area, and the Crazy Koala around that. It's pretty perfect to stop anything coming around this train. I have the Citizen over here to stop any advance on that flank, because impetuous units or remotes can't synchronize with the Citizen, and even though if they do that, they get the Crazy Koala, and they have to spend another order, which makes runs on that flank very not very promising. I have one Alguacil up here and the second one down there. This one up here is my lieutenant. He's far away from any other beefy targets, and it's hard to get him. The doors are closed. Anybody who wants to get in there has to spend one short skill to open the doors and then climb up, so it's pretty hard to get to him. So, and he's also covered with a lot of arrows, so I'm feeling fine there. This is my decoy. A little bit more into the center, because there's more beefy targets around. I have the flash pulse, providing some hacking area on this side, and also having some flash pulse ranges up here to stop any advance. I have the hacker down here, the EvoBot, and I have my second Harris with the evader standing here. He should be able to provide only arrows on good range for him, because everything should be in Spitfire range around here. I actually don't like his placement too much. I should probably at least have placed him this way, because there's no need to look into the containers over there. I've Senor Massacre as short to the room as possible, but far back to be protected, because he will be my second wave going into the room. He's a close combat beast, and he will try to do the final strike to my opponent. And Jazz, FTO, coming here. The idea was to bring her as far back to my backline as possible, because I expect Bit and Kiss to come around and do some missile shenanigans. And therefore I wanted to be as far back as possible. This is more than 8 inches, so it's pretty difficult to place a pitcher there and attack her. I've this Moran up here, stopping any advance over there. The Crazy Koala stopping anything coming through this building and not being able to be shot. And we're heading over to my opponent's deployment. He brought some mysterious civilian who was on my ship, an impersonation -2, right next to Jazz. And besides that, I don't know what he did hold back actually. I think he did hold back Nokias. So we have Bit and Kiss on the right flank, Datorazi over there to securing this flank, Imatron in the back, another Imatron in the other back, Missile Bot in the building, Sheshkin here in a good position to advance on either side. We have a Camouflage 0 with his mine. We have a Camo -3 over there. An M-Drone, which is nice. Forward Observer Bot over there. Tiger. So everything what you would expect. Nikadron over here. Pretty decent opportunities. Ida Swanson with this forward deployment to go into the room as well. So nothing really, and 2 camo markers over there. Nothing really surprising over here. So everything hard to Nokias is good in the room. Tigers and Icarons perfectly well to go into the room as well. The M-Drone to open up the room with the tactical awareness, and Bit and Kiss to shoot pitchers around. That's the classic way. So with my Raven Eye, I didn't see anything coming at me, so nothing where I want to place the mine in his path. So I decided to try to make the life of the impersonator at least more difficult, and place the EM mine right next to the impersonator, and the Raven Eye over there pretty close to the room as well, because he's a good unit to go into the room if the room is cleared and I can score it. He's a specialist, so he can open the doors and maybe place EM mines within the room. So it's a cheap unit, it's disposable, so perfect unit to shove into the room to simply stay there if the opportunity shows. So let's have a look at the turn 1. So, during my turn 1 I get quite lucky. My opponent starts with activating Bit and Kiss, and they shoot pitchers on long range, -3. 2 on these 2 spots. I think there was a second one from Kiss over there, but only this one failed, so there's already a decent repeater coverage in my deployment zone. One order is used to kill the Zalute. He tries to kill Jazz, who was over there, and she survives, but does take an armor save, but BTS is high enough, and then decides to fail Guts to crawl somewhere over there. This is an advantage. I now see the Greif in my front arc, and failing Guts out of zone of danger is nice here, so she can't be hacked anymore. My opponent then, at the beginning, we need to remember the Greif was over there, and we had an EM mine placed over here, and the evader over there. And my opponent has the proper plan to spotlight the evader, then missile him, and with that make the EM mine explode, so the Greif is free and can do some shooting without being in danger of the EM mine. Unfortunately, my opponent, I think, puts 8 orders in spotlighting. Well, probably a little bit less, but a lot of orders in spotlighting the evader, but fails to succeed with that. Him either not succeeding or me winning the face-to-face, which is lucky for me. In the end, he then decides, remember the evader was standing facing wrong or badly. He then decides to simply reveal the Greif and shoot Jazz. I'm doing a mistake here. I decide to spotlight the Greif, trying to survive, hoping he will be isolated and therefore he can't try to attack me again, and then I can attack him simply with a Vostok, for example, and without being in danger. I thought this would be better, but in the end I remembered she was in the Link team, and actually the odds for the Greif are pretty decent. He has a 70% chance against my Spotlight hack. What turns out, he simply kills Jazz with that, but I should have tried to shoot him, which is probably at the same values, because it's +3 and -3 for a surprise shot, and which is 11, and for me the hack is 0, so 14, -3 for surprise, so also an 11, but the shoot would have been on burst 2, which would have been a lot better, even though the odds would still have been very good, for 60% chance of succeeding to kill Jazz. He then succeeds with the both armor saves of the EM mine, which is sad, because then he starts killing the evader as well, and the evader needs 2 orders, because the evader succeeds the first armor save and or dodge, whatever, and is gutsing out of, no, he's gutsing over there. But the second try he kills him. That's sad, so they are gone. The Greif then stays there, vulnerable, because no orders left for him on group 2. And I think, oh yes, he also uses the M-drone to activate the doors, open the doors. Nokias is using his NCO to move forward into the room. And the Tiger moves forward to go into the room. So he's starting to score the room. but he didn't deliver a really solid alpha strike due to his spotlighting and missile not working. I like this way. Games should turn out more often this way against missiles, because this is simply boring and without too much tactical placement. So this is a lucky outcome for me and keeps me in the game. So my turn 1, which is I think a really good turn for me in the end. I have some tasks I want to fulfill. I want to place something into the room to prevent the tiger from scoring. I need to get rid of the 2 repeaters down here, and I need to get rid of the Greif operator. Unfortunately, I have to do all this in group 1 because there's nothing else that can reasonably do this job. So the Raven Eye can't really deal with a tiger. He has a template, so he's vulnerable to just dying to the template and not being able to run into the room. So I decide to go with the Diablo first. I keep this link intact, and the Diablo just moves forward. So he, at some point, he simply drops out of the link. And I picked the Diablo especially because he has structure and doesn't give the Nokias any Prothean capabilities. And the idea is, because we see a perfect trap here. The idea is, if I move into the room, my opponent will probably declare a dodge with Nokias. And therefore he will dodge into the room and outscore anything that comes into the room. That's a perfect trap. Additionally, the M-drone provides a hacking area into the room and is a danger as well. I consider I can probably move at the door, but I probably can't prevent no, I can't prevent a zone of control dodge for Nokias. And the turret is looking into the room as well. So what I do is I move the Diablo to here without being in hacking area, without being in zone of control of Nokias, and then declare dodge. Diablo has a dodge range of 4 inches. And there, probably it didn't move over there, just over there. And then simply dodge him into the room. He's worth more points than the tiger. I don't need to kill the tiger, I simply outscore him, and I'm happy with that. I will score the 2 points, and that's it. So that's a very efficient and good move to not fall into his trap. And then using the alguacil to kill the repeaters. I get spotlit during that process, but I simply reset to remove the spotlight and kill the Greif as well. Pretty average move. I need 2 orders to kill both repeaters because he succeeds on 1 armor roll. I need 2 orders to kill the Greif, which is all pretty average, but that's simply a solid play as well. Unfortunately, I don't have the orders left to bring this alguacil into cover again, so he has to stay there and hope for his best, but at least the Greif is gone, which is okay for me. Then I use my Tomcat, because I declared this train to be the target for my decharge sabotage. I come in over here, do a move, a decharge, so at least my classified is already solved. Keep moving and trying to kill the Imatron, but miraculously the Imatron succeeds all her armor saves. and I can't kill her. But at least I have my classified scored, I have my unit on board. My opponent can decide to go after the Tomcat or have the Tomcat in his bag. So a lot of difficult decisions he has to make about that. So I'm happy with that play as well. The Tomcat already did pay his points. So a pretty solid turn. I scored 2 points, I get my classified done, and everything worked out as intended. So during the second turn, the tactical movement keeps on. I think the M-drone at some point tries to shoot the Alguacil. The Alguacil succeeds with his dodge because it's in bad range and fails or dodges into total cover. Perfectly fine. My opponent uses the Tiger to berserk the Diablo, and the Diablo kills the Tiger in return, but survives, only keeps 1 wound. He then moves Nokias in to the room, and since my intruder is able to see him at the top, my intruder decides to shoot him. And I think he first impersonates. Yeah, he wants to outscore me. And the Diablo decides to declare a dodge, because I can better move out of the room and clear the room afterwards than staying in the room. I think Nokias then reveals and shoots the Diablo to death, but takes a wound from the free shot from the intruder. But that's fine for me. He then spends a lot of orders to use the Liberto, to move the Liberto into the train, kills the Moran, survives the Crazy Koala, I think. The intruder survives as well, because he's placing a template. The Moran shoots the Liberto, and the intruder dodges and succeeds with the dodge. And then he needs to bring Sheshkin into the room as well and shoot the intruder to death with her. So at least I forced him to bring 2 expensive units into the room that I can now deal with. Oh, and he placed Ada Swanson into the room as well, because there's not much else to do in Group 2. He decides to not care about the Tomcat, which is probably the right call. I think the Tomcat can't really do a lot of damage to him. He could try to attack the missile bot. Is it worth it? Probably not, because he doesn't have a lot of hacking anymore, since he doesn't have the repeaters anymore. He could kill the Imatron, but that's only 1 order, and it would cause him a lot of more orders to deal with the Tomcat. So I think it's a reasonable play to just ignore him over there. And with that, he again didn't do too much damage to me. So I'm still in the game. So my turn 3, I decide to stick to the plan. My first wave to clear the room is the Jaguar with the Vostok, and basically the Diablo, who was in the room in the first turn already. I consider bringing Senor Massacre inside as well, because I could move over there and reform a new Harris with all 3 of them. But I decide not to do that, because I feel I will be stranded somewhere over here, and with Senor Massacre being in the midfield, he's vulnerable to anything attacking me, and then I don't have anything in the 3rd turn left. So I decided to just go with this duo, which is nice. They they stayed as a duo, because the Vostok was the leader and was always declaring a move and forcing the Diablo to drop out of the link. This way I can efficiently move these two around, even though I don't get the burst bonus anymore. And over here there are a lot of moves around. I think at one point the Vostok ends somewhere over there and declares a discover shoot at Sheshkin, and kills Sheshkin with Nokias, kills Nokias because Nokias was in impersonation state, and then also has to do a lot of shooting on Sheshkin. At the beginning, from over there, the Vostok was able to see Ida Swanson and putting her unconscious. And all these shootouts go pretty average as well. They are not great, it's only burst 3. I roughly need 2 orders to kill a 2 wound unit, which is pretty average. Unfortunately, even though I brought all units into group 1, I still have a lot of units in orders in group 1. I don't really make it until the end to clear the room. It takes me the last order from the Vostok to kill Sheshkin in the room, and I shove the Jaguar into the room at the same time. I'm feeling pretty happy with that at that point, because I think I could score again. The plan was to clear the room, which succeeded, and bring 1 cheap unit into the room. It's then when my opponent tells me that Ida Swanson is a Shaswasti and therefore keeps scoring and outscores the Jaguar. That's really sad for me because the plan didn't turn out. I think even after the game, there was never an order where I would have had the another shot free on Ida Swanson. Maybe in the last shot on Sheshkin, but then I would probably not have killed Sheshkin because I would have probably split the burst and would have been needed to be greedy. But having Sheshkin in the room would have been worse than this situation now. That's really sad. This will not happen to me again. I will from now on remember that Shaswasti has that. So, something I learned from that play. Jaguar in the room is fine. He can stand his place there. Vostok over here is fine as well. She has cover from pretty all sides and is durable. Mimetism -6 should be a problem for my opponent. He can't really outshoot her. So, I think I still have opportunities for turn 3 to turn the game, even though this turn my opponent scores the room. So, in the last turn my opponent first uses his Caliban to get rid of the Vostok. I think I'm doing a mistake over there. The Jaguar was in the room and the Vostok was over there, and the Caliban moved up to here. And I should probably have discovered with the Jaguar. I decide to delay with both of them, and this way the Caliban can move closer to the Vostok. And now Vostok is in trouble. If I would have declared a discover and would have succeeded, the Caliban would have been in trouble up here. Because he could have shot at the Vostok, okay, but she would have outshot him, or he would have needed more orders, so that was a mistake I did. In the end, Caliban moves forward, and I decide to discover somewhere over there and succeed. But then the Caliban simply outshoot or places decharges onto the Vostok, so the Vostok goes down within 2 orders. Then Caliban moves over there. First tries to fall into the back of the Jaguar, but the turret is looking down here, so blocking a lot of movement from him. He then simply tries to face the Jaguar, and I'm doing the second mistake over there. I'm trying to survive the Jaguar, but I should probably have placed the template on the Caliban. I did declare a shot in slug mode against the submachine gun. I die, but killing the Caliban would have been worth more for me than trying to survive with the Jaguar. So trading up would have been great. I didn't do that, so Caliban simply kills the Jaguar off the board, then moves into the room and stays there. He moves the Ecadron a little bit further and runs the bit into the room as well. He considers trying to do as much damage to me as possible, but there's not much he can really damage with the Caliban. So I still have a decent order pool for my last turn. Okay, coming into my last turn with 7 orders left, I'm feeling very well and believe there will be an epic face down with the Senior Massacre. So it will be a final cherry on top of a nice game. So my plan is simple. I need to bring the Senior Massacre into the room and kill the Caliban inside. I also can use the Alguacil to shoot Bit. This is what I do first, because she is my lieutenant. She can simply stand up and try to shoot Bit, and this doesn't stop anything from my main plan to work. And that turns out to work. I put Bit unconscious. That's perfect. So I have 7 orders to clear the room. Unfortunately, my opponent placed the M drone somewhere over there, so has a small line of sight over here. So, but I have I have Eclipse smoke, so the Senior Massacre is moving over there, throwing smoke over here, failing it. Sad. I need to do a cautious move to get over there, which is okay. I then keep moving over here. Caliban was placed over there at the beginning, and the plan was to throw smoke over here to stop the turret looking inside the room and stop the forward observer bot. And then if I put smoke down here, I can simply smash the Caliban in CC, or maybe even bring a second unit into the room or do something. But that fails again, unfortunately. So I have to move closer, and then the Caliban gets a zone of control dodge to the to my smoke, because usually the Senior Massacre is has stealth, so he doesn't provoke any arrows. But since I have to be so close to him to put down the smoke, he gets the dodge. Trying to there I count my orders, and I realize I will only probably have one try to kill the Caliban, because the Ecadron is looking inside the room as well, and if I face his template, I get the danger for my Senior to die, and I need him to be in there to outscore Ida Swanson. So I'm considering another plan to bring the Moran inside, but that fails due to the M drone being discovering him. So there's only one chance for me to run over there, and then declaring a move over there. Fortunately, the Caliban blocks line of sight from the Ikadron. Surprisingly, or it's good that I have the Shock CCW, which brings the Caliban out of play directly, so he can't use his Shasvasti. With the EM CCW, this could work, but as soon as he tanks one armor save, he's still there, and I only will have one chance to succeed with that, so I'm using the Shock CCW. With a Natural Born Warrior, it's CC 27 for me against his CC 20, which should be possible. We roll the dice. I do roll a 9, which is already pretty decent, but could be better. And my opponent rolls a 20 with his decharges, and that's game end for me. The odds for that are not that high, but really pretty solid. Even though the chances for me were only 60% to win, and probably 40% of not succeeding. And since I don't have any orders left, I can't retry that. I shouldn't have done the play with the Moran and more have the second try with the Seigneur here. This would have at least helped me in the black part here. But this way, it came down to the final CC, an epic close combat fight, and the Caliban succeeds, kills the Seigneur with the D-charges, and that's the game for my opponent, Cthulhu. If I would have succeeded, I would have outscored Ida Swanson, and I would have won the game, which is for my for playing an opponent who is that solidly playing, was a great success for me. I stayed in the game in the first turn. That was great. From there, it was just a nice game for me. I did do some mistakes with the Jaguar in my second turn, or during his third turn. If I would have decided to go differently here, the Caliban wouldn't have been in the room. Probably something else would have been in the room, but that might have been easier to take out. For example, maybe a mentor being in the room or something like that. So there would have been opportunities to let the game not run down to this final CC, and that would probably have been better. So it's totally fair for my opponent to win this game. It's always skill is if luck becomes common, and placing the Caliban and forcing this luck was what made him the game. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of very good game, and unfortunately at the end I didn't succeed, but we'll see how that happens in the next game.